Woof woof! Hey guys, it's me Marcus, aka the Mad Dog. It's the beginning of the month, and you know that can mean only one thing. Yes, it is time for your July 2021 edition of Whale Watch. Whale Watch. Yep, it's a series that I do once a month where I take a recording of my screen and we take a look at some of the books that might be going out of print. Maybe they've gone out of print and you've got a last minute chance to buy them, or maybe we can just find you a good deal along the way. Admittedly, with this one, I've got something a little bit different towards the end that I'm going to include in the Marvel section, because admittedly I have had to adapt a little bit. But make sure you watch to the end to see if that's something that you enjoy. But what I definitely recommend doing is checking out the full playlist, because maybe one of the books that you're worried about might have featured in a previous video. Like I always say, I'm not trying to drive any kind of fear of missing out. I'm simply one fan of this hobby that's hopefully helping others to find some books that maybe they've forgotten about along the way. So first up, what we always do on Whale Watch is look at our East of West check, because these East of West books apparently are only getting one more printing. So volume 3 is still pretty cheap from Amazon directly, but it seems like there's only one place that's selling it new, and it is Amazon. Not a great sign. Book 1 I believe was at full cover price. Let's see if anybody else is selling it. Yeah, none of them are selling it at cover. They're like double cover at this point. And year 2, which was one that was difficult to get before this reprint, has now unfortunately crept out of stock again. I remember last month they were over at our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. I definitely recommend checking them out if you are going to buy any books, and if you do, please use the code WOOFWOOF, because it does greatly help the channel, and you get $2 off your order, and you can use that as many times as you like. So volume 2 and volume 1 are in stock over at Organic Price Books, but it doesn't look like volume 3 is at the moment. Forbidden Planet had quite a healthy level of these when I last checked, I believe. So they've got volume 1, they've got volume 3. I know they're called year, I'm just saying volume to make it a bit easier, but they haven't got volume 2 either. Out of stock over at Read Comics as well, so this is definitely one that needs to be on your radar, especially that volume 2. And even though I did a review and I was a bit mixed on it, you know, you might want to check that out. I'd still hate it to be the case that people pay over cover price for these books, so I think this is your last month where you can comfortably get your hands on some of these. You might be able to find it at another retailer. Admittedly, I don't have a list of every single retailer that stocks books, so you might want to check on some of your favorite places. I'm just going to check a few here, but yeah, these are ones that definitely need to be on your radar, and I think maybe a few more months from now I won't even be doing the East of West check, because they'll just all be out of print. But one thing that I did want to update you guys on was the Invincible compendiums and the Ultimate collections. We spoke about these a few months ago because I know a lot of people were wondering, because they were pretty much completely out of stock everywhere. In terms of the Ultimate collections, a lot of these have come back in stock, but I know the compendiums are what a lot of people are interested in, and you can still get these on back order. What this means over Organic Price Books is that he can place the order with the distributor. I think it's Diamond who does Image. So more of these will be coming back out, and I've seen people scalping the shit out of these lately. People are selling them for triple cover price in some cases. Do not buy for triple cover price, because more are coming. Let's have a see if we can find any of the compendiums for you anywhere else. They've got volume 3 in stock, but it's at full cover price, so the only place that's selling it. But volume 1 and volume 2 are just currently unavailable. Although admittedly, you can read the entire first compendium for free with Kindle Unlimited. But let's just be realistic here for a second. Invincible did well. That's probably an understatement. I don't know like the viewership numbers or anything like that, but admittedly it's an Amazon owned property. Amazon has a far greater pull than any other website that sells books. They will be ensuring that more of these are coming out, because these are hot items at the moment. They're not going to keep these in stock since about 2011, so near enough for 10 years. Then all of a sudden, when the show's massively popular, now they're going to make it unavailable. It just doesn't make any sense. So again, you can back order them over Organic Price Books. I definitely recommend doing that if you don't want to miss out. The Ultimate collections are showing up again, so do not worry about these, just keep your eye on them. One thing that I will recommend as well, because I'm just going to get this tip out here at the beginning, because of the fact that people ask me quite a bit in an episode of Whale Watch, but I tend to say it later, and it's just clear that people aren't watching that far into the video. Maybe it's because I do incoherent rambling like I am right now, but this is a Chrome extension called Keep It. I don't know if there's one for Internet Explorer, but admittedly I don't really know too many people who use Internet Explorer. But what this does is keep track of the prices, and what you can do is click track product, which, yep, took me a few tries to say that correctly, and you can set an amount so that when it comes in at that amount or under, it will send you an email. So if you're waiting for it to come back in stock, pretty much just put it at cover price, so that if Amazon gets it for £60 or under, you will then get an email and you'll know that it's back in stock. So that's something that I definitely recommend doing. Now the next book that I'm going to talk about is one that I thought had gone completely out of stock, out of print last episode, and that is The Astounding Wolfman. For some reason, it is now back in stock on sale price at Cheap Comics. I thought this had gone completely because last month no one was selling this. And this does tie into Invincible at one point. It's also written by Robert Kirkman. It's a really fun series, so I'd recommend getting this if it is that you want the complete Invincible collection. It's not necessary in understanding Invincible if you don't want to pick this up, that's fine. It's saying temporarily out of stock over here at Amazon. I think I might have seen this on Organic Price Books. So yeah, Organic Price Books has got it in stock as well, so it is something that seems to have had a bit of a restock. Read Comics says that it's coming in halfway through this month, so it might be worth checking up, although sometimes those dates aren't really correct. Your best bet at the moment is over at Cheap Comics, so I wouldn't sleep on this if last month maybe you were disappointed because, you know, we couldn't really find it cheap anywhere. Here is that cheap option, just go for it. I noticed as well a few of the Berserk Deluxe editions had come back in stock, and there was a lot of people that were worried that the one that they wanted had disappeared. You can also get some great deals at the moment, there's some coupons on. Volume 6 was the one that wasn't in stock last time I checked. Damn, they've already got Volume 10 listed as well. Volume 4, it looks like that's not available at the moment, but what I'm doing here is proving just wait a bit. It says that they are getting a restock in July, so I'd definitely be looking out for that one, and none of them are available over at Read Comics. So what I'm trying to prove here is to not really worry about them, because Volume 6 a few months ago, if I was going off the pattern of, oh, if it's out of stock that means it's out of print, I would have been saying, oh, buy that one, it's not coming back in print. But that was the one that I needed, and it is now back in stock at a few places, and it's always worth just keeping your eye on these, and I'd recommend never paying over cover price for them at the moment. Due to the passing of Kentaro Miura, a lot of people have been introduced to this series now, and these are the nicest format that you can get. That wasn't something that Dark Horse could anticipate, so all of a sudden you've got an unrealistic demand to the amount of supply that you've got. It will eventually balance out, and if anything, Dark Horse might over course correct and print way too many of these. By the way, if there's a few volumes of this that you're missing out on, I would just wait a month or two and you hopefully will see them come back in stock. The next one that I want to talk about, we always seem to have at least one of these Magnolaverse books a month, but this time it's the Baltimore Omnibus Volume 2. I think I saw something on Comics Release about Baltimore Omnibus Volume 1 maybe getting a restock, but admittedly as well, I've been having a lot of weird dreams lately, so maybe that was just one of them. But this Volume 2 right here, and I always say that yes, restocks are possible, reprints are possible, but if you can get the book at a price that you want it for whilst it's in stock and you don't have to do any hunting or waiting, why not just get it then and there? That's going to be 100 times easier. So this Volume 2, if it is that Volume 1 got a reprint, yes, there's every chance that Volume 2 might at some point as well, but there's only a few places that are really selling this, and this to me says that these don't have it on hand. But Amazon has it in stock at the moment. There's only 11 left in stock, and that's pretty much the supply for all of the EU Amazons. So I don't know, if this was one that you were waiting on, maybe you picked up Volume 1 and was sleeping on Volume 2 for a little bit, I'd probably get a bit of a move on, because you don't really want to wait on the possibility that you might get a restock. What is guaranteed is that these have 11 in stock and they will at least send one to you. That to me personally is better than waiting. Next book that we're going to talk about, another one from Dark Horse, is the Big Damn Sin City. This is one that disappeared pretty much this time last year, and it looks like those signs are happening again. You can get it for a pretty decent price. It's not Amazon that's selling it primarily. They're pretty much at full cover, but there isn't too many other places that are selling it. You haven't even got Book Depository, Speedy Hen, or Books, etc. The reason why I'm putting this on the list now is because of the fact that there's new editions of Sin City that are coming out, and admittedly, I kind of want them. So there's going to be 7 volumes of this. I can see that both Volume 1 and Volume 2 are over for pre-order at Organic Price Books. And apparently these are going to have a slipcase, and each one is going to have a letter on the spine so that when you get all 7, it spells Sin City. Yeah, the more I'm talking about them, the more I want them. But my point is that originally there were 2 library edition sets that I know Dano's got, and at one point those were a grail. And as soon as that Big Damn Sin City came out, you never heard of a possible reprint of those 2 volumes. I think it might be a similar case with this. So when these 7 volumes come out, even though I don't think these are going to be in print forever, I think that they're going to pretty much put Big Damn Sin City on the shelf. Why would you have 2 competing products? And we're going to also talk about that a little bit later when we get into Harrow County. But new collectors or people who are just getting into this series for the first time are not going to buy both. So I think if you wanted Big Damn Sin City, if you wanted the convenience of just having that book rather than having to get these 7 volumes, even last year though, look, a new copy was going for about 350 quid, and that was pretty much the cheapest that was available. You don't want to be waiting like that again. I had to buy a used copy, and I probably should have waited, but this time, I don't know, I've just not got a great feeling that this is going to be in stock much longer. Now, unfortunately, it can't always be good news over here at Whale Watch. If anything, it's very rarely any kind of good news, but to add to the bad news, the Harrow County Library editions were due to get a reprint I think it was this month. You can still get volume 1 and volume 4 over at Amazon, but it was in particular volumes 2 and volumes 3 that people were having difficulty getting. These were available for pre-order for quite a while. I remember being dead excited when I saw these, but unfortunately it isn't possible to do so, and I have contacted JP about this directly, and he says that it's something from Dark Horse where they no longer are doing the reprints. So that's a shame, and I thought it was a little bit weird that they were printing them because of the fact that these omnibuses had recently come out. I do think that this is the way forward for them at the minute because these are going to be cheaper to produce. But yes, unfortunately, if you were waiting for those reprints of the library editions, they have unfortunately been cancelled. One thing that they haven't cancelled though that I know a few people were waiting on was the Gail Simone Red Sonja complete oversized hardcover. There was a good chunk of time where this wasn't available. It's printed by Dynamite, I believe, but the only place it's got it in stock is Amazon directly over here in the UK, but it doesn't look like they've got it either, unfortunately. I know Organic Price Books got some of these in. Yeah, so they've got the unsigned edition, and obviously the signed edition was very limited, but as well, because of the fact that Red Sonja's getting a movie, I'm not really too sure what they're going to do in terms of printing some of her material. But again, if you wanted this book, if you were disappointed when it did look like it had gone out of print and we were waiting and we didn't have any word on if it was going to get a restock, just get it now. If you've got the money to do it and you're not going to put yourself in any kind of financial strain, I would recommend just getting the book whilst it is that you know you can get it, it's available and you still want it. Then maybe it disappear yet again, and we never know, there might not be another restock. A book that's kind of completely confused me, it is the Complete Witchblade. In particular, we talked about volume 1, but the hardcover edition. As you can see here, there is only one person that's selling it, and it's Amazon directly. The reason why this confuses me is they pretty much announced the paperbacks at near enough the exact same time as the hardcovers. This was also a Kickstarter, so I think the hardcover is something that is just for the die-hard fans that they don't really have too much intention of keeping in print. But the paperbacks are still readily in stock, so if it is that you wanted the hardcovers of these Complete Witchblades, I would recommend getting at least this first volume definitely this month. And volume 2's at full cover as well, and it doesn't look like there's many places that are selling it. Yeah, the only other place is drastically over cover price, so the hardcover volumes of these Complete Witchblades are ones that you need to be looking out for. And also, let's have a see if the Darkness is the same. Yeah, Darkness is in a similar boat. Book Depository says that they're going to get some next week. But these hardcover editions are the ones that should be on your radar if it is that you don't want to settle for the paperbacks. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at some of the DC books, and like I said, I'd recommend checking out some of the previous episodes because I don't have as much time to film Whale Watch at the moment. So I'm just trying to give you the books that I really think should be on your radar rather than just repeating a load of stuff that I said last time. At the end of the day, I'm just a guy who's trying to find a way to retire his mum and dad, but I've got no skills and I'm in a dead-end job that I'm not even good at. But the first book that we're going to look at is one that I know was difficult to get last year, and it's the Legion of Superheroes 5 Years Later Omnibus. This is one of those books that says volume 1, but we haven't had any sign that there's going to be a volume 2 yet. Other books that came out with a volume 1 at a similar time, like Superman Batman, Green Arrow Longbow Hunters, have all had volume 2s already confirmed. So for me, I wouldn't worry too much about the stock levels of those, but this one, unfortunately, there's been no news on it. If a volume 2 comes out, then yeah, I imagine more will come back out, but this seems to be more of a niche run. The people who like it seem to really like it. I can't wait to start reading this, but at the same time, there isn't as much of a demand to really warrant a restock. It is available at Forbidden Planet for undercover price, but for me, I think the fact that nobody else is selling it, you haven't even got just like some random third-party seller, is kind of a bit worrying. So that's one that I think should be on your radar if you really wanted it. Like I said a couple of days ago, that was in stock. The next one that we're going to talk about is not the Grant Morrison omnibus that I always seem to end up mentioning here and there. It's the one by John Byrne. I know that it looks like there's a lot of places that are selling it, and some of the places that we normally trust like Books Etc, Wordery, but this has been in print for over a year and admittedly nobody is talking about it. So Whale Watch isn't just all about a last minute, oh grab this if you can, it's also about look out for this over the next couple of months. This is one of those that I definitely think should be one of those books. Keep having a look, seeing if some of these third parties disappear. Yeah, so Purple Button of Doom over at Read Comics, and they saying the Grant Morrison one's out of stock, so maybe that should be on your radar as well, but that one comes back in and out of stock so often that it should be called the Boomerang Omnibus. But this John Byrne Omnibus, I've just got a similar feeling to what I did about the Deathstroke New 52 book. Something about it just makes me think they isn't going to be around for too much longer. Maybe we've got another 3, maybe even 6 months with it, but I don't know. I don't think that's going to be an evergreen one. One that I think we need to check up on is the Green Lantern by Jeff Johns books. Yeah, don't worry, I'm definitely going to have a drink at some point. But volume 1 in particular aroused my suspicions because of the fact that Amazon isn't the main person that's selling it. Books Etc does have it, but but Amazon's selling it for pretty much just a little bit more, but they're not advertising themselves as a primary seller. I just find that so unusual. And there isn't a lot of places that do have this volume 1. Now, admittedly, it could be the case that a restock is due. I think these books are ones that should be evergreen. I'd be really surprised if they were out of print for a long amount of time. But they have also been in stock for about 6 or so years, and the hype for this run has unfortunately died down a little bit. Other Jeff Johns runs that admittedly, yeah, might not be as popular, stuff like Teen Titans and Hawkman, they were allowed to go out of print, and even big massive titles like Gotham Central aren't available. With DC, we really don't know. They should probably be renamed Dark Horse because they're such a dark horse when it comes to the stock levels of the books. Volume 3 is similar, that they aren't the main place that's selling it. It seems like there's still a healthy amount of places that do have it. You've got Books, etc. They're probably cheaper if you go directly on the website. I know they had quite a restock of a lot of DC books last week. And Volume 2's the same. I know this was one that featured on Whale Watch a bit of time ago. So all 3 of them are in stock for a decent enough price, so you can pick them up from there as well. They have also got the Blackest Night Omnibus, which is something that looked like it was drying out over here. So all I'm saying is these are books that I feel like everybody should at least read and see if you enjoy them. And I'd rather it be the case that you can get them all in one go rather than having to wait for restocks or even see them go out of print. Do I think it'd be smart of DC to let these go out of print? No. But would I be surprised if it happened? No. Now, the Grant Morrison book of the episode this month is going to be the Invisibles Omnibus, and yes, I completely spelt that incorrectly. Yeah, so this is one that has been bungee jumping in and out of print here and there, wherever you can find it. It says it's going to be in stock on August, which I think is a significant amount of time away, but with this, it disappears and then comes back in so often that I'd be tempted to tell you to not even really go for paying cover price. I know Grant Morrison said that they were taking a bit of time away from writing comics after they finished with Superman and the Authority. So I don't know, maybe DC's thinking it's not really worth the time keeping them all in print at the moment. But this was originally printed in 2012, which in some sense you can argue that yes, that is a long amount of time. Why would they keep it in stock forever? But at the same time, they've already kept it in print for 9 years, so why would they all of a sudden let it disappear? All I'm saying is that this is one of those that has jumped in price everywhere at the moment, so it might be worth keeping an eye on. But some good news, if we go over to near mint condition, I'm sure that you're all already subscribed, but if you're not, make sure that you are. Hopefully you can get to 50,000 subscribers soon, because that would be absolutely mental. But on his live stream that took place on June 19th, you can see here down at the bottom that Man of Steel Volume 1 should be getting a restock sometime in July, along with the Swamp Thing by Nancy Collins. I think this is a really good sign, because last month I even had to show Volume 2 as something that should be on your radar, and I even brought it myself in my last haul. So it's this one right here, and a little bit of time ago there was nobody that was selling it and it was at full cover price, and hopefully this means that Volume 2 will go a similar way as well. So if you're not really too happy with the price it's at the moment, maybe a little bit of time from now you might be able to get a Books Etc. price. Again, you can't guarantee that a restock is coming, but at least it's a good sign. We give DC some shit, but at least it does look like you might be able to get your hands on Man of Steel Volume 1 if it was that you missed out on it. One that I think should be on people's radar is the Authority Omnibus that came out in August of 2019. That's nearly 2 years ago, and there hasn't really been any buzz about this book. I like the Authority, but unfortunately there is a lot of controversy around Warren Ellis at the moment. I'm not really going to get into that because I don't want to get demonetized, and like I said, I'm trying to retire my mum and dad somehow, so I need the 30 or so pence that I'm going to get from this video, so I'm not really going to talk about it here. But there hasn't been any follow-up volumes that detailed all the stuff that happened when the Wildstorm universe just kind of ended and they just ran with it. I really like that stuff, so I was hoping that it would be collected, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. The Authority is a great and I think underrated series, so this is a book that people might be disappointed on if it is that it goes out of print and then you won't be able to get it. It's not even Amazon that's the main lister of the book, but there isn't any Books Etc. Speedy Hen or Wordry or anything like that. It's out of stock over here on Read Comics, so that's quite worrying, and it's definitely one that I think you should look out for. Another one that disappeared within the last month is the Booster Gold hardcovers. Now, it's the first one in particular, the Big Fall, so literally a couple of weeks ago it was in stock and even had other people that were selling it. You can't get it on Read Comics either, and the reason that I'm pointing it out is because of this second volume, Future Lost. Can still get it from Amazon, so if this is something that you're sleeping on, maybe you forgot about it because it's not oversized. There's 3 left in stock. I can't guarantee that there are more on the way, and admittedly a lot of people don't really know about Booster Gold. I was tempted to do a Who Is on him because I really like the character. I loved him ever since I read him in 52. I really wish that some of his post 52 stuff would get collected because I think that's a really great run. But yeah, the second volume, Future Lost, you have still got an opportunity to buy it right here. You can get it from Books Etc. as well, so maybe it's cheaper on their website, but I wouldn't be hanging around for this. You don't want Future Lost to be lost. Yeah, I hate myself too. This one is something that should be a warning sign, but also maybe you should use it as a cautionary tale, but it's Lucifer Omnibus Volume 2. What in the fuck happened to this book? Why is it no longer available anywhere? And it seems as well that it hasn't been available for a long amount of time. This is something that I've been sleeping on in terms of doing these videos. But yeah, it only came out in November last year, and this does complete the run as far as I'm aware. You can still get Volume 1, but it doesn't seem like there's many in stock at Amazon directly. Books Etc. still got it, so that's decent, but admittedly, you don't want to get half of a run. Volume 1's on back order over at Organic Price Books, and you can't get Volume 2. It says more's coming in stock for Volume 2 over here at Read Comics, but again, those are never guaranteed. But the reason why I'm bringing this up as a cautionary tale is because of the fact that Books of Magic seems to be in a similar boat. I think whilst that Volume 2 is still solicited, you don't really have to worry about Volume 1 too much. Maybe pick it up if you want it, because it's quite a whammy book, so you don't want it to be the case that you have to buy 2 whammy books quickly, you know, later on down the line. But Books of Magic might go a similar route like this, that it might be difficult to get. So I'd recommend maybe pre-ordering this one if it is that you don't really want to miss out and you don't want a similar situation to what's happened with Lucifer. Yeah, I really can't say that with me lisp. If you were to say to me what book do I think probably should have gone out of print by now, it would probably be Superman Exile, and it looks like that's what's happening now. I said about this last year though, and then it just all of a sudden got a new amount of stock everywhere. But again, look at it, there's not many places that are selling it. You don't have your Books Etc. or your Weirdery. It's steadily creeped up, so look, the new sellers have just started disappearing. And as well, this is a book that is pretty much a prequel to the Death and Return of Superman. And if you said to me which book is easier to sell, Superman Exile or Death of Superman, it's always going to be this. So if they'd let that book go out of print, why would they not let this one go out of print? I know that doesn't really seem like great logic, and we can never predict what DC's going to do, but at the same time, there has to be some validity to that claim. So if you were waiting on this book, and in the 3 years since it's been in print, you haven't had a chance to get it, I think this would be a good time to do it, because I can't really see too much incentive for DC to keep this in print. Another one is the Justice League Detroit era. Now, a few days ago, I swear, Amazon had this a few days ago, whereas now there is pretty much nobody that's selling it besides a place in space and someone for over cover price. But you might be able to find this in some local comic shops because of the fact that it said Justice League on it. Purple Button of Doom over here at Read Comics. Just on a side note, I really like when Forbidden Planet says that an omnibus is bagged and boarded. Like, how big's that bag? How big's that board? But yeah, you can't find the Detroit omnibus over here at Forbidden Planet either. Let's see if Cheap Comics is saying that it's out of print, because these would literally say a book that's on pre-order is out of print. I don't know if I spelled Detroit correctly there, so just bear with me. I can't see the cover that I'm looking for here, so that's not really a great sign. So yeah, a couple of days ago you could get this from Amazon, but now you can't. Even last month it was undercover price. It's pretty healthily priced back in April. But times change, and this is one of those more obscure books that I don't think is a guaranteed seller. It's been in print since 2017. You might be able to find it at a local comic shop, and I definitely recommend doing that if it was that you wanted this book. Another book that I don't really know too much about, but it's the Manhunter Deluxe Edition by Archie Goodwin and Walter Simonson. Only came out in February this year, but deluxe editions are even more difficult to track than omnibuses when it comes to DC. There's only 5 places that are selling it. Amazon's got it for, you know, a decent enough price. But besides Book Depository, there isn't really anywhere else that's got it. Again, could get a restock. I don't know, it's only been out for a little bit of time. But at the same time, it's quite inexpensive, this book. And I've seen some deluxe editions from DC sometimes go for 4 times over cover price once it is at the out of print. I don't want you to have to pay 40 quid for a 10 quid book, so that's something that you should probably pick up if you wanted it. Now, this book still boils me piss, but the Super Sons Expanded Edition also seems like nobody's selling it. I don't know why they brought this back out with an expanded edition to only have it for a limited amount of time, but Amazon doesn't have it in stock, and there's only one other place that's selling it that's like a local toy shop. As well, I'm a bit confused that this would disappear now, considering that the Superman Omnibus only recently came out. Read Comics is selling it for over what they list as cover price, which is never a good sign. I don't think Forbidden Planet has any because they sold it off for dirt cheap at one point. Yeah, it's on back order, unfortunately, over at Organic Price Books. So that is one that for some reason just disappeared all of a sudden. So I'd recommend picking it up maybe from Read Comics if it is that you wanted it. We've got 2 more books that we're going to look at, and the first is one of those don't worry, it's probably going to come back in stock kind of things. Okay, I can't even find it on Amazon, but it is the Justice League New 52 Omnibus. This one right here, I had to go a really long-winded way of finding that. I had to go through Jim Lee's page, and admittedly I do love Jim Lee. But yeah, you can't get this at all from Amazon. They had it for a little bit of time and then suddenly it disappeared. I haven't really seen too many coming across here. I don't think any third parties had this. We've already seen over at Forbidden Planet, they do have it for about 84 quid, and it's going to come bagged and boarded. But if you look, Justice League International Volume 2, same cover price was 69 quid, whereas this is 84. I don't know if it's because they think same bagged and boarded is going to get more people to buy it, but even in Justice Volume 2, you can see there, that's the same price, rather than this inflated 84. Okay, they say that they're getting some in pretty much today. That's near enough the time that I'm filming this. That's decent that you can get a discounted price for Justice League Dark if you pre-order it. And this is over at Read Comics if I haven't already mentioned it. But this is that time of the video where I turn to the camera and I tell you to not worry. Similar to what I did with Flashpoint, and I haven't buckled just yet and brought it, there are probably going to be more copies of this coming across. It's Justice League, it's New 52, it's Omnibus, it's Jeff Johns, and it's Jim Lee. If you told me to create 5 words that I think would sell a book for DC, those would be the 5 words. As well, you can read it for free over on Kindle Unlimited, so if you just want to quench your thirst for a little bit of time, do that. But this has only recently come out. I think there is just going to be some kind of supply chain issue, and I know when this happens, it's easy to panic and think maybe they just underprinted the amount of copies that they'd need. But for as much shit as we give DC, they must know that this would be a big seller. It was one of my most anticipated omnibuses of the year, and I have got one coming across over from America. But if you don't want to go down that route, that's fine. And I would just recommend waiting, because this time last year it was similar with the Infinite Crisis Omnibus, Superman, Batman, and a few others. The Green Arrow Longbow Hunters Omnibus took months to get across here, but eventually it did. And then Books Etc. had it, everywhere else had it, and it was almost like nothing had happened. This is going to be a vastly more in-demand title than any of those that I just listed. So honestly, please don't panic buy if somebody's selling it for over cover. I wouldn't even recommend buying it for cover price. I know that JP sold through his first amount and then he got some about a week or so later. And yeah, it's in stock now and it's at a pretty decent price. So if you do want it now, there's where I'd recommend getting it from. And you know, using the affiliate link and using code WOOFWOOF for $2 off your order. But I also think if you do wait a little bit of time, more will come to your local shops. So please, in a similar way to what I said with Flashpoint, do not worry about that one. But the last DC book that I'm going to list here is the Injustice Gods Among Us omnibuses. These have drifted in and out of stock, but again, look, Amazon isn't the main place that's selling this one. Books Etc. does have it, and Amazon doesn't have it for a bad price. You've got your book depository, your wordery, but I'm wondering if this volume 2 is going to go a similar way to what we just saw with Lucifer. Amazon's only got one left in stock. Books Etc. has got it, so you can probably get both of those for about 100 quid if you go to their website directly. We saw that Forbidden Planet had it previously, if we look right here, but they don't have volume 1, and you can get both volumes from Read Comics. But admittedly, I do think that this series isn't going to be around for much longer. I think maybe 6 or more so months, if we don't have some major reprint or maybe the announcement that a further like Injustice 2 omnibus is coming out, you might see these disappearing. The Books Etc. price is really good, so I would recommend jumping on that and then just not having the hassle. Like honestly, if near enough 50% off isn't good enough for you, what are you realistically waiting for? So it's the last DC book that we're going to talk about today, but it is one that I think should be on your radar, and you should maybe be cautious about it if it is that maybe you're waiting on this volume 2, although like I said, I'd just get it from Books Etc. Okay, we're at the Marvel part now, and I've almost done this without my camera running out of battery. I'm really excited for this new section that I'm gonna do at the end. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to it as well, but what I'm just gonna do first, because a lot of you guys seem to appreciate this last month, is do our final order cutoff check. So obviously, as you know, there's been a lot of books that people have missed out on because of the fact that they pre-ordered it after the final order cutoff. So if you want to ensure that you get your books, it's always best to order it before this date. I'm going to use Organic Price Books to show this part because they do sponsor the channel, and also they get the information up first. If you do want to use them, you can use the code WOOFWOOF, but if you want to use someone else, that's fine as well. There's no need to get angry at me on Instagram because I'm not using the website that you like. But in terms of books, there's quite a few hardcovers. So you've got Wolverine by Benjamin Percy, Thor by Jason Aaron Volume 5, and don't worry, we're going to get onto those books a little bit later. Hellions by Zeb Wells, and the Hawkeye by Matt Fraction Complete Collection. You've got Black Panther Volume 4 by Ta-Nehisi Coates. This is one of the big ones that I want to talk about, and it's the Rachel Rising Omnibus. Now, I don't know if anybody in the UK or the EU is going to get this, but I remember somebody telling me that Abstract Studios won't post to us anymore. I have made sure that JP's pre-ordering me one of these because there's no way that I'm missing out on this. This hardcover has been unavailable for the longest amount of time. Now, I know I said that you're free to order with whoever you want, but if you want this book and you don't order from Organic like price books, I'm not going to feel sorry for you if you don't end up getting it. This is one of those occasions where I said to myself, I don't even care if it's cover price or slightly over because of the fact that it's been so difficult to get. So I would definitely make sure that that is one that you've got pre-ordered, and the final order cutoff for these books is July the 18th. So at time of filming, you've got 16 days to go. I'm hoping that I can get this video out the day after that I finish filming it. I'm going to get it rushed through. But that is one that is definitely DEFCON 1. Make sure that that is front and center. If no other book gets your attention this month, that's the one that you should be pre-ordering. You've also got the X-Men Omnibus Volume 2. I know that we mentioned Volume 1 last month. Thunderbolts Volume 2. Doctor Strange Sorcerer Supreme Volume 3. I'm not sure if I'm going to get that yet. You've also got the Doctor Strange by Jason Aaron, and I was tempted to not pick this up because I got the hardcovers, but then I just saw this cover and I kind of really want it. I know some people don't like the face on it, but something about it's just speaking to me. You've also got Conan, the Original Marvel Years Volume 7, and some of these are limited, like this one right here, Once and Future Slipcase Edition. That's one that is pretty much only going to get the pre-orders that are made for it. Some might pre-order a little extra, but I've heard that there's not going to be a second printing of this. There's going to be the hardcover without the slipcase, but that looks really pretty and I want it. Firefly Blue Sun Rising, although admittedly those Firefly books have seemed to stay in stock quite a bit. This is the Once and Future without the slipcase. You've got the Sin City Deluxe Edition Volume 2. I got really excited about this, but it's Luther Strode in trade paperback. These are some of the reprints that are still available, but the final order cutoffs for this month, you've got Silver Surfer on the 19th, Uncanny X-Men Volume 1 on the 12th, Astonishing X-Men's also on the 12th. Definitely make sure that's one you've pre-ordered if you don't want to miss out. Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 is the 5th, and Uncanny X-Men Volume 2, the final order cutoff for that one's also the 5th. You've got Doctor Strange Omnibus Volume 2, Incredible Hulk Volume 4, and the Mighty Thor reprint, which is one I know a lot of people have been waiting for. New Warriors Volume 2, you've also got the reprint of the X-Men Volume 1 and X-Men Onslaught. So those are the main ones that you need to be getting your pre-orders from if you don't want to miss out when those books eventually come out. Obviously, like I said, some books will get genuine stock of them, but if the books that you feel that you can't miss out on, pre-ordering before the final order cutoff is the best thing that you can do. But now that we've done our final order cutoff check, it is time for our Chi check, which is a section of the video where we check on our boy Shang-Chi. Took me 3 times to say that one. But this has been going through a journey. We don't know if there's been a restock, we haven't heard that there's going to be a reprint, but for some reason they keep cropping back in here and there. So you can get volume 2, 3 and 4 pretty easily from Amazon, although the stock levels are varying quite a bit. That is a very good price for volume 4. Books Etc. does have it, and you've also got Books Etc. having volumes 2 and 3. Volume 1 is still over cover price. This is the one that is most difficult to get. So volumes 3 and 4 are under cover price over at Cheap Comics, but everything else is pretty much over. So they've got volume 2 and pretty much none of the others. I'll just have a little look at Deadly Hands of Kung Fu for you to see if there's been any update on them. It literally gave me a suggestion and it didn't take it then. Okay, so somebody's got it available in 6 to 10 days. V-King. I've seen that name cropping up on a lot of places, but I haven't heard anything about them. But they say they've got volume 1 and it's for a steady enough price. But V-King's got volume 2 as well. He's got 7 ratings at the minute, about 3.5 stars, so that's not too great. But yeah, I will keep an eye on these for the next couple of months, but if it seems like nothing really changes or maybe they disappear completely, I won't really say too much on it again. Now, a book that I'm not certain what's happening with is the Defenders Omnibus. It only came out in April, and Amazon is the only place that's selling it at full cover price. Yeah, I know that this spine's weird. I'm not really a fan of it either, and I think that's probably one of the main reasons that I didn't pick it up. I know that's one of the most shallow things I could probably say, but if you look here, Amazon didn't have it for a few days, and then it's come back in at full cover. It says in stock. Let's see if any of the international Amazons are selling it for cheaper. Okay, so Amazon Spain, I believe that is selling it for about £63, which still, again, considering how thin of an omnibus this is, that isn't a great deal. With this being a book that's only recently come out, you never know, Marvel might do a restock, because I have to be honest with you guys, I said this last month and it's got even more difficult since then. Whale Watch is difficult when it comes to Marvel because of the fact that they are so available at restocking books. It is great as a collector, I'm not going to lie, but for me it means that I'm a little bit hesitant to say, oh, this is a book that you should worry about, because the next month Marvel might announce that it's going to get a restock. But yeah, they've got all 3 covers in over here at Reed Comics. Moon Knight's showing us out of stock, but I've heard that that's getting a restock. I swear I didn't dream that one. Yeah, so they've got everything but the standard cover, but for me personally, I think the standard cover is the least interesting of the 3. For me though, I'm not sure what the print run on something like this would be, and we haven't heard that there's going to be a volume 2. I would be recommending to pick it up from somewhere like Reed Comics or maybe Forbidden Planet if it is that you wanted it, but it's something that I think you should at least keep your eye on in case it is that it doesn't get a restock. This is another one that isn't at that warning level. Like I said, I don't want every book to be, oh my god, you need to buy it now, oh my god, you need to panic. But sometimes it is me saying factor it into your budget if it is that you did want it at some point. And this is definitely one of those, always an Invader. Now this is an oversized hardcover, and Oversized hardcovers at Marvel don't really get as much love as omnibuses. So even though it's not at that worrying level, and pretty much the majority of the main players have got this in stock, like Books Etc., Book Depository, Wordery, I think this will be one of those that slips from a lot of people's feet in a similar way to stuff like Craven's Last Hunt, Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire. I'm not sure if this is something that could eventually factor into a different omnibus. This is one that's going to be on my radar, and I'm going to try factor it into my budget because I've had a few people recommend this to me, and I think that it's something that over the next 3 to 6 months you should be looking out for. And with it being quite inexpensive at the moment, you know, it's not the same price as an omnibus. It's better to gate for that price than to eventually see an oversized hardcover going for a couple of £100 like that Moon Knight by Jeff Lemire. Looking at some complete collections now, because some of these can go out of print in a similar way to what I just said about oversized hardcovers. And it's the Avengers by Jonathan Hickman. Now I know, let's address the elephant in the room. A lot of people are waiting for an omnibus reprint, but there are some people who do like complete collections and would prefer to have it in that format. Now the first volume, it looks like this is already pretty much gone. Amazon hasn't got it. It says that there's one new and it's going to be them themselves. The one that I really think should be on your radar though is volume 2, because there's only 3 places that are selling it, and Amazon and Wordery selling it for over cover price. That doesn't feel right. And it seems like they are rushing out these complete collections. Like this came out in December last year, but already it seems like nobody's got it. Now before Loki Agent of Asgard, it was pretty much guaranteed that complete collections didn't really get reprinted. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there is going to be a reprint of the Hickman omnibuses. So yeah, if you are waiting for them, my insight would be to keep waiting because Fantastic Four's coming back in print. But if you did want the complete collections, volume 2 is definitely the one that should be front and center of your radar. Purple Button of Doom over here at Read Comics, but they do have volume 2 as well. This is just going to be one of those that will be available in certain comic shops, so just have a look, maybe even have a call if it is that they do mail order. No, they haven't got volume 2 or volume 1 unfortunately. In a similar way, I think you should also have on your radar the Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman complete collections. Now happy days, we are getting those reprints for people who did want them, but if you wanted the complete collections, look at volume 2 and look at volume 1. Volume 1's already pretty much disappeared. Yeah, people are only selling that used, and volume 2 is in a similar situation where there's only 2 places that are selling it. Amazon doesn't have it actually in stock, and the only other place is UK Paperback Shop. But with this one in particular, I don't think there's going to be much of a push for Marvel to keep these in print now that the omnibuses are coming back in print. By the way, if you wanted Hickman's Fantastic Four in complete collection, I do think you need to be picking these up sooner rather than later. But some good news on the complete collection front. I know I was just saying that before Loki it didn't look like any of them got reprinted, but Vision by Tom King has suddenly come back. This is one that I need, and yeah, I kind of wish I would have picked up that oversized hardcover, but I do think that also adds some validity to what I was saying about Always an Invader. But this disappeared for a little bit of time. Like you can see right here, people were selling it for, you know, a little bit over cover price, especially when the WandaVision show was coming out. Look here, someone's trying to sell a new copy for near enough 40 quid, but it is back in stock now for a very decent price, and it looks like other places has got it as well. So if you wanted that, I don't think you should be sleeping on this for a second time, and you should be picking it up. Okay, so my camera did die. I think I'm picking up where I left off, where I was talking about Vision. I mean Mr. Vision, if we're going to keep it formal. But the next book that we're going to look at is the Punisher Back to the War Omnibus. Now, I know I mentioned this a few times ago, so I'm not really going to labour the point, but this is pretty much the last chance that I think you've got to buy it. There's only 3 places that are selling it. Amazon is the cheapest, but I'm not really sure how many they've got if they're not even promoting it. So it is pretty much at cover price, maybe just a little bit beneath over on there. So if you wanted that and you're over here in the EU, I'd recommend jumping on it over here at Amazon. Another one that I spoke about at the beginning of the year, saying that you should keep your eye on this one, is the Deadpool by Daniel Way. There's not too many places that are selling this volume 1. Amazon's got it at full cover price, which is never really a good sign. Okay, volume 2's on sale and it's saying that it's out of print. Volume 1's in the same boat, but it's not on sale and it is slightly over cover price. I know that there's obviously a movie coming out for the Eternals as well, but I have noticed that this book isn't really keeping stock that well. There's only 6 places that are got it. There is still a decent enough discount on it, but still, this was one of those titles that didn't seem to have a lot of buzz about it, and now it seems like it's disappearing everywhere. It would make sense for Marvel, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if they did do a restock in time for the movie. If I'm being honest, I feel like that's something that is near enough certain with how well Marvel is doing with these restocks, but at the same time, it's here now. It'd probably only go to about 40% off unless there's some kind of crazy glitch sale on it, so it's not too far removed from what would likely be the best price. So if you wanted this, I think it's better to just, you know, hedge your bets and gate whilst you can gate for at least 30% off than waiting and then maybe not getting it at all. But like I said, with the movie coming out, I think that might get a restock. Now, for our next couple of books that we're going to be talking about, it's over here to eBay. And this is that new section that I'm going to talk about, because Whale Watch isn't just about books that are going out of print, it's also about helping you to spend your money wisely. Now, if you haven't already seen, I definitely recommend checking out the Uncanny Omar's recent video where he talks about 7 new omnibus omnibuses that are coming out, because I'm going to spoil a few here in the hopes of saving you a bit of money. But one of them was the long-awaited Thor by Jason Aaron omnibus, and as a result I reckon some of these Thor by Jason Aaron hardcovers are going to crop up on eBay. You also might find them in a few Facebook groups, but some people are always hoping that other people don't know that those omnibuses are coming out. You might be able to get a pretty decent deal. I know that there's some people who wanted that volume 1. You see, as you can see here, somebody's trying to sell it for 40 quid, but I think a lot of people are going to try to offload a lot of these Thor by Jason Aaron books. So especially the first 2 God of Thunder volumes, I would recommend, if you needed any of them, to have a look out, because some of them are probably going to sell for cheaper. The closer it comes to that omnibus coming out, and especially when that omnibus comes out, you will probably be able to drop on quite a good deal, because some people do just prefer omnibuses over oversized hardcovers, which, you know, is fair enough. So that's one that I think might be worth setting up an eBay alert to see if you can get a good deal on it. Another one that I want to talk about is the Young Avengers, both the one that's by Alan Heinberg, and it hasn't really got like a subtitle or anything, and also the Children's Crusade. This is one that I need, so I'm glad that that omnibus has been announced. The announcement came a few days ago, and already you've got somebody trying to sell the hardcover for 30 odd quid, somebody selling it for about 20 odd quid, but obviously you've got to import those. But those are other ones that I do think that you might be able to drop on and get quite a good deal. But also, if it is that you didn't know that some of these omnibuses were coming out, do not buy an overcover priced copy. Thor by Jason Aaron, yeah, you might just need one hardcover to complete your collection, but it's still not worth paying a ridiculously scalped price for somebody that's just trying to offload their titles so that they can pick up the omnibus. So this is more like whale warning rather than whale watch. Like, don't get fooled by any of them. And the next one that I'm going to talk about is entirely theoretical. I don't have any kind of insight into this, but I'm just looking at the patterns and trying to determine exactly what's going to happen. Because it also got announced that there's going to be a Thor by Matt Fraction omnibus that's going to be released next year, and the thing that immediately precedes Thor by Matt Fraction is Thor by JMS, an omnibus that's been out of print for a long time that I know a lot of people are wanting a reprint for. But for some reason I just have a feeling that this is going to get a reprint announced in the immediate future. When that happens, you might see a couple of these original omnibuses appearing on eBay for prices that would seem quite decent, but they'd only seem quite decent because of the fact that reprints have been announced. The other one that I want to talk about that I've got a sneaking suspicion about is She-Hulk by Dan Slott. That's not a DM variant, it only had one cover, but yeah, it's this one right here, and as you can already see, somebody's trying to sell it for 105 quid, 102 quid, 130 quid. And with the fact that it's been announced that there's going to be 2 additional She-Hulk omnibuses that are coming out, one of which I think comes immediately after the Slott run, it's probably going to get a restock. Marvel knows that that book disappeared and not a lot of people had chance to get it, and they also know that there's going to be a Disney Plus show. If there's one company that should know what's getting a Disney Plus show so that they can push some books out for, it's definitely Marvel, because they're doing the same with Moon Knight. We saw that a Moon Knight by Charlie Hudson, and also a Moon Knight Volume 2 is going to come out next year. I think it's also been said that there's going to be a restock of Volume 1, so I think they're going to do the same with She-Hulk. I think you're going to notice some of these She-Hulk books appearing at prices which will seem quite decent but aren't actually. At the end of the day, this is just one fan that's theorising based off the patterns that I can see so far. Nothing is guaranteed, and if you see the book for a price that you're happy with, even if it's over cover, then still get it. But because of the fact that Marvel is so good at restocking books, I have to try and find a way to adapt this series, and this is what I'm thinking of doing. Giving you that insight on what I think is most likely to get a reprint so that you don't end up spending over cover and so that you don't end up wasting your money. If that's something that you find helpful, let me know in the comment section below, and it's something that I can expand on in future episodes. I don't know, but like I said, I am trying to adapt this show because Marvel is so good at restocking stuff at the minute. It just makes this video a bit more difficult to do, but I'm always going to try and find new ways to bring different types of content to you guys. I'm sorry if this one's been a little bit rushed, or maybe it hasn't had as many books as you normally used to. I've got work in literally 10 minutes, so I had to film this as quickly as I could. But over on our Reddit page, r/MaddogComic community, feel free to put any suggestions for what you think might be going in the whale route. Sharing this video also does really help the channel, and I know that a few of you do that, and I do really appreciate it. There's also a tip jar down below. I don't expect any donations, but it is greatly appreciated. And like I said, it's going back into the channel. I've got some things that I am working on in the background, so any donations just get pushed into that. But let me know in the comment section below what book you're trying to pick up in July. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you didn't, why did you get this far? Definitely make sure that you subscribed if you're new here, and why not check out one of my other videos. But until next time, whenever that may be, just make sure that you stay safe, stay reading the best books that you can find, and stay mad, all you dogs. Woof woof! See you at the next video.